We are live. Yes, we are. Hello, everybody. As usual, we are running around like headless chickens, day in, day out. Isn't that how we should be in life? I always think we should be too busy.
Yes.
Gets a lot of
Yeah.
things done, or at least give you the
Oh,
impression that we've got lots of things done.
what?
Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
slow at doing everything I do, but still, hey,
No,
greetings
you're
to
not
all
slow.
this afternoon. Hello, Ute. I hope you're doing well
Hello.
today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
You know, when
are
I
we
talk
are
to
we
you,
are we live on Instagram as well?
no, we're not.
We're not, right?
No, we're not. How
Hmm.
about I do that right now?
Okay. There's always some. I always say I need to clone myself. I have twins, and I said, "Oh my gosh, if I would have," but well, twins
It's
is
like,
another thing. Cloning myself would be just outsourcing part of what I need to do to someone else,
mm.
and then who briefs me or who then.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
No, it's fine.
let's find the top page for my Instagram, and I see the
Yes.
lives, and we're going. Huh.
It's not.
Okay. I'm just gonna go live. I'm
Hello,
just gonna go
everyone. I
live.
see that 4 people are just following us already. So maybe you can just say where you're following us up from, or if you have any kind of question or thing that you want us to talk about, and to also join us in the discussion, please let us know in the comments. I cannot see if you're following us on YouTube or on Facebook. No, on Facebook. You're all on Facebook. So
Yes.
just
And
connect.
we are now live. So
Okay, I need 2 heads. 4 hands and 2
talk about unprofessional. But hey, you guys have been
Oh,
forewarned.
è
I've
il bello
always
della diretta, c'è sempre qualcosa. Cioè,
hello Instagram, hello YouTube, hello Facebook, hello, hello, hello. So
Hello.
thanks for coming in and joining our very informal thing. I always think we should have I have my couch in the back. It's like welcome to my living room, although this is my
You can just
studio slash
so, yeah.
office, but just bringing you guys into the nitty gritty of Raising Multilinguals live, or how Ute and I sort of run around every day,
You
trying to
were
get things done.
mentioning chicken before, right?
Indeed.
I just asked you to join on Instagram. So if you accept me, then I will show up there as well. Otherwise, you just leave me where I am. It's okay.
Okay, how do I get
So,
accept and you can come in with me on Instagram?
okay.
So shout out to the folks watching right now. Locopedia Bilinguismo. Oh,
Locopedia
Locopedia
bilinguismo.
y
Hello.
Bilinguismo. Okay.
That's good.
And
Sorry.
Vajo Milon Dona is joining. Okay.
Sorry.
So welcome everybody. Are you, I'm hearing some sort of an echo now. Where is that echo coming
It's mine. It's mine.
from? Okay.
It just came on
And
the.
where am I? Aha, there you go. Now it should be good.
Now it's better. Yes.
No
Yeah, it's
echo.
always by default. It just gets all the volume up, and then I have to dial it down a little bit.
Okay.
So,
It seems okay. Now we're going to say hello once again to everybody. It's a few minutes past. What we do here every week, except the third Tuesday. Every Tuesday we sit down and just try to have an informal chat with our beloved followers. Every week, it seems like we're going to get more and more folks, and this is your
yeah.
chance to ask us questions about raising multilingual kids, whether it's bilingual or multilingual.
Multilingual.
You guys are welcome. Since every third Tuesday of the month, Ute and I sit down with a let's say expert in the field. Oftentimes an academic, but it can be from other institutions, who will talk to us about various aspects of raising multilinguals live or raising multilinguals, and that's a chance to really talk to that and interact with that expert. But the other weeks is where we sit down and share our time. So,
Yes.
so
And
definitely hello.
yeah, and we bridge to practice, so to say, right? We share maybe a little bit of practical, insights into how to make this happen.
Yes.
Or not, I don't know. Hello, we have a few hello from Facebook. Hello, everyone. Hello from London, from Valentina. Ciao.
All right. Hello,
Piacere.
Valentina. So for those of you just joining in, we are live on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. So from all the various angles, whichever platform that you feel most comfortable with, do come on and say hello. So these past weeks, we've fielded questions from you guys, and all the past lives have been on recording. So whichever platform that you watch from, you should find a recording for that week. And we also do different things, other things, right? It was yesterday we were on the Polyglot Conference platform yesterday. Polyglot Conference, for those who don't know, is a big annual gathering of language geeks. These nerdy people who love learning languages for the sake of learning languages.
Yes, language enthusiasts, I would say.
It's okay. It's okay. They accept the term language geeks. They call themselves language geeks, and they're proud of it. And I'm proud of it. I love languages too.
It's the most important part, to be proud of using them.
That's right.
However you use them, you're very proud.
That's
no,
right.
Exactly. Yes, we were there because we were celebrating the International Day of Multilingualism.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, in this International Day of Multilingualism was actually founded, how would you say, coined by Thomas Bach?
Initiated by Thomas Bach. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, exactly.
It's amazing. This amazing polyglots, amazing language experts that we have the honor of knowing.
Yes.
For quite a few years now. And I do think this community of language lovers and polyglots is growing every day.
It is. And it is also inspiring, I think, which is the most important part of it.
Yeah, the world is definitely not getting smaller.
No. Well, it has its advantages and disadvantages. Let's focus on the advantages. I would like to ask everyone who is following us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook to please ask us anything in the comments. Otherwise, we are going to just ask each other something. A few questions. We are never running out of questions, Tetsu and I. But if you have any questions or you want to share some experiences that you had this week, for example, please let us know. And we are starting the conversation.
Yeah. And most of our audience, I guess, have very young kids. Often first-time parents, right? There's just so many things to think about as a new parent. If on top of that you want to raise your kid to speak more languages than their peers, it can get overwhelming, right? So
it can, yes.
So anything goes. There's no stupid questions.
No. And then if you have more children, then you have also always the kind of dynamics of using languages that can change and shift with every new child or every new situation, every change in your life. So it's constantly something that changes, something that maybe at the beginning you think, okay, let's decide on a strategy and let's be very coherent. I know you're very consistent with yours and it's amazing. I couldn't. I'm way too all over the place, but somehow it worked. Fortunately, I must say thanks to my children, not to me. So, but not everyone can be so consistent and has this support all the time. You know, when maybe you don't have the aunts or uncles or whoever is responsible for the different languages all the time, then you start a little bit doubting, what should we do now? Which language should we keep up? You know, it's like juggling, and then you have a ball that falls and you say, oh, oops.
That's right.
What do you know?
But I think the important thing is to keep going and just if you've not started, start. Do
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Because the kids are young once.
Yes.
You just cannot buy back that time, regardless of how rich you are. So you have to do something and move forward and sort of adjust as you go. Right?
Absolutely.
It's impossible to know everything. It's just impossible.
No,
So-
you can't. And also, if you give up something at some point, it doesn't mean that it's gone forever.
Mhm.
I want to share something because I'm very proud of my children, but I don't know if they're following us now. I don't see them on Instagram. If they follow us on Instagram, but they're not there yet. But at the beginning, I was speaking Italian with them, and then Italian went a little bit in the background. But now lately, I found out that they are all learning Italian again. So that's to say that they are improving Italian. And
how are they doing that? Like,
totally surprising me.
are they speaking in Italian amongst themselves, or?
Yes, amongst them, and asking also my husband, how do you say this and that? They don't come to me. I think they want to surprise me. But at some point, and then with Duolingo, with all kind of apps, and then watching series on Netflix in Italian. So I'm looking forward to having a long conversation with them in Italian very soon.
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, there is a question from someone from Facebook. Let me share it. I will share it on Facebook. I can't share it here on Instagram Live, like a little, banner that comes out. I will read it out loud. So, have you got any suggestion about involving mother tongue teachers in school activities so that everyone speaks more than one language in school, not only in the classroom, but during the daily routine at school? Mother tongue teacher, so really a teacher during activities.
Yeah, I understand this question as other than the community language, how can we find a way to get the mother tongue into the schools? I mean, already from a logistics perspective, if there's like 10 other languages that are often spoken, that's 10 people and 10 different slots of time that you have to take out of their day. So I mean, there's probably no easy answer to that.
No, but what we did at our school was that we had sessions where parents could come in, and I went in very often to read books to the children and to have a chat to those who understood the language, but also those who were interested in it. And this I found very interesting and very important, so that not only for those who understand the language already and who are more or less fluent in it, because it's one of their home languages, but also those who maybe have spent holidays in that country or who just have an interest because their friends are speaking the language. So that was very interesting to see. But of course, it was only an hour a week.
It's really amazing.
10 weeks, so it's not very much.
I have a little story from yesterday. My daughter, Nika's friend that we met for the first time came yesterday. Just out of the blue, just came to our home and decided to stay an hour or two. And then her dad, when her dad came to pick her up, we started talking, and they already knew that we're bringing the kids to Japan in a few weeks, and that how Nika's friend was sad, obviously, that she's leaving. But she also said, he also told us that she started learning Japanese on Duolingo by herself because she's so inspired by Nika and wants to, learn Nika's language. And that's like the best,
gift.
Flattery
it's like a
that you can give somebody. It's quite amazing.
It's amazing. Yes, it's really very, very lovely to see that kind of friendships, right? That you want to learn. My son also learned or was more interested in Chinese because he had 2 Chinese friends.
Yeah.
So I think we shouldn't underestimate the peer pressure in all senses. Not only in the negative way, like I sometimes say, well, when the friends say that they don't like your language, but also in the other way, so that they say, oh, I would like to know the language that you're speaking, because somehow also my husband learned learned Italian. He said that when I speak Italian, I'm different. So he wanted to learn or to have that part of Ute when she speaks Italian. So I understand that, and I find the same when I know someone and I hear that they speak another language. I see that they behave in a different way. They gesticulate in another way. They use other words, and then sometimes I say, "Oh, let's talk the other language today." It's not easier, but it's somehow I find it very, very rewarding. Also,
Yeah.
we have a comment from Miley. Let me share this.
Miley.
Hi, Miley. It's nice to
Hello.
see you. How do you do how do you do when the kids go home and discuss the topic from school in the language which you are not fluent to your spouse? That's language at the school and the environment. I feel I'm the outsider most of the time and can't
I
join the
see.
conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
her spouse speaks
Speaks
the
another language
community language or the school language.
or
So when the
another,
kid
yeah,
comes back, okay.
French.
So how do you fit into that discussion if you're not fluent? Well, first, I think we want to know how old are the kids. I think anywhere above 7 or 8, the discussion can sort of get quite overwhelming and complex. But before that, if it's before that, there's a way for you to sort of pick up as, I guess enough to at least catch keywords. What do you think?
Yes, I think I know how old her children are.
Okay.
But it's let's say yes, it's becoming more complex. So it is something. The older the children become, the more the gap might be
Yes.
between what we parents are able to understand and what
Indeed.
they are able to communicate to our partner or someone else who speaks that language. So I understand that it feels like you're an outsider, but and I can also understand that then we feel like they are talking about something that we shouldn't hear, or they're talking about us. That's the first thing that everyone thinks, right? Even if we are, I don't know, in the bus and speak with our children, and people think, oh, they're talking about us, which is 99% of the time, usually, unless you're really gossiping, not the case. But if you feel very much the outsider, what about asking them to speak the language that you all understand, or that your child can somehow translate to you, or your partner can translate to you? The most important part of the conversation. Sometimes it's also a conversation where they just want to talk among them, and then I leave the room. Maybe I would leave the room.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's a balancing act, right? Between having their discussion slowed down for you to come in, and the importance of you fitting into that conversation. Now, as Ute mentioned, it really depends on the discussion topic, also.
Yes,
Right? So
but
if it has nothing to do with you,
no, it
no
seems
reason why.
yeah, it seems a topic from school. So the child is still in the school language mode and is processing what they have learned at school in the school language. And then if the spouse speaks that language, of course, it's more natural to address the person who speaks the language in the most fluent way. But what then can happen is that you transfer what has been said by the child and in your language, and then somehow try to understand how much you can help. Maybe the child would like to have your help, but just doesn't have the words yet in your language. So this is a moment. It always depends. For us in our family, I don't know how it is in yours, Tetsu, but when the children come home, or came home, now it's much calmer, but it was really very tense, the situation. Everyone was hungry, however you want to define it. So I always said, okay, let's give them an hour or an hour and a half or two sometimes to calm down and to really arrive home and to settle. And after a snack, everyone was happy, and then start another kind of discussion or conversation. I don't know how it is with you, with your children, Tetsu, when they come home. Are they very active?
It's always a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I mean, there's four of them, right?
It's
But we've never really had this sense of inclusion exclusion so much, I guess, because I don't know. I guess my wife is the one who has to sort of adapt to the different discussions, since she's the one who has the least number of fluent languages. But she doesn't seem to take it, in the sense of being isolated. When she doesn't understand, she does sort of just jump in and ask, hey, what was this about? And she would like throw in keywords and sort of get a feel for the discussion. And oftentimes she's right. So, and I think she has fun doing it. And her languages, the different languages that we do at home, is improving. Like her Mandarin is quite impressive in terms of understanding. Her Spanish is also pretty strong now. Since,
wow, yeah. You see, then we learn with our children.
Receptive, the receptive side aspect at least, and then she could still come in English or in Japanese, obviously with the kids.
So it would be like a suggestion to just ask questions.
Yes.
Ask questions. Yes. What it is about? Can I help, or can you explain what it is? Maybe she will use, or your child will use other words, because maybe doesn't have the right words yet. But then it's your turn to introduce those terms. But I wouldn't take it personally. I think the main thing is not to take it personally, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, they are 4 and 7. I remember that. Thank you, Miley. Thank you for sharing.
So yeah. Still time to I guess take a few minutes every day, sort of improve your fluency in that language. I don't know which language it is, but whichever it is, the kids, they're 4 and 7. They're not, talking about rocket science. It's not, the cutting edge engineering topics. It
no, that would be too much for everyone.
Yeah, it will be too much even in English.
Yes, exactly.
so just pick up the most common sentences. Brush your teeth, wake up, eat this, finish your soup.
Yes, but they're talking about school, so it is really something
there
about.
You go. Some mathematics.
Yeah, it could be. Yes, great. Thank you for the questions. It's very, very good that we can talk about that. If there's anyone else who would like to share or ask a question, please don't hesitate. Also on Instagram, we have everything under control.
Yes. So I was curious. I get this quite a lot about which language do our kids speak to each other? Ute, which languages do your kids speak to each other? And has this been constant throughout their life, or is this, it started in one language and now it's another language?
You know that my children are 20 and almost 17. So are you asking me for the last 17? No, because it changed over time. So at the beginning, my son was talking Italian with them and Swiss German with the sisters when they were very small. And then when they all started, well, then there was sometimes a little bit of Dutch, because we are in the Netherlands. So we never asked them or expected them to speak German among them. I always observe them. I somehow study my children and see, the dynamics are very interesting. But it changes. And now that they all went to an English-speaking school, so English was the most dominant one. So depending on the topic, if it's about school or friends at school, then it was English. When it is something about they just talked about with me, then it's German, or another language if it's Dutch with someone else. So I would say now it's mainly English and German, but it can also shift. So How is it
Wow.
with your children?
Yeah. Whenever I get this question, I have two answers, but now I think I have three after listening to you. Because the first answer is it depends on
Mm.
who is
Who
in
and where?
the context.
Yeah.
If I'm there with the kids, they'll talk, amongst themselves in Mandarin, because that's the language that I use with them. If it's mommy and the kids, if it's the au pair who speaks Spanish with the kids, then they'll actually talk to each other in Spanish, not just addressing the au pair. So it's like context dependent. That's when they're like chameleons, right? They blend into that. And then my second answer is I think the key question that most people ask is what are the languages? What is the language that they use amongst themselves when they're alone? Like it's just themselves. What's the most natural language that they use? And it's been Japanese since birth up to quite recently. And my expectation was, since they're going to school in French, that one day French will take over Japanese and become their language of choice. But something funny happened just in the past year or so. Within the past year, their dominant language has become English for some bizarre reason.
They hear that you speak very much English, so it might
Yeah,
be.
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe because they're cousins who are francophones. They also like to speak English, and they speak English pretty well. They live just next door, so they're like here all the time, and they're always speaking in English amongst themselves. And the cousins don't speak any Japanese, or they speak very minimal Japanese, so they're not like talking to each other in Japanese or anything. So English is, rather than French, English is their language of communication. Why do they like English so much is another thing. Is like through their other cousin. So long story short, they really like English, and that's sort of like carried over to our home. And our kids, when we watch movies, most passive input like that is in English. So somewhere along the way, they sort of speak English quite a bit when they're like really just themselves alone. But it still also depends on what they're doing. And as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, I think it could depend on the topic. So if I give them a task, let's say like Ronnie's task is to throw out the garbage, and he always brings a kilo with him. And when he's outside, I can hear them, like they're outside. I'm not in the decor anymore, but he's outside, but he's still talking to them in Mandarin. Maybe because the task was, it was a task that I gave them, and they just sort of, that Mandarin just lingered on, and they just continue to speak Mandarin because it's the task that Daddy gave them.
Yes, exactly. I don't know what makes them decide that, but I remember that, yes, with my sister, I always spoke only German and still do. But with my nieces who grew up in an Italian environment, I switch sometimes bit Italian, bit German. So could be the same for my children as well.
So I think the key discovery here is that they're not choosing their language solely because of fluency.
No.
And that's a very interesting finding. Because intuitively we think they'll use the language that they speak the most fluently, but that's not necessarily the case. As long as they have a solid grasp of that language that they're using, then they would switch around based on other reasons.
Yes, and then not only switching, but they also mix sometimes. Then I'm not talking now about when they are among them, but when they are with me and we are talking about something in German and they just lack a word and they want to tell me, and then insert an English word or for wherever it comes. That is also something that happens often, especially when the pace of our conversation is very fast.
Yeah.
So the more time I give them and the more time we have, the better they can think about what they want to say and then say it maybe coherently or consistently in one language. Whereas if it's fast-paced, no way. So we mix. I see that there is a Facebook user. I'm sorry, I don't see the names yet. Who is saying something? Let me just say it out loud. Every school should pay attention to all the languages children speak and make it a source of further development for everyone. Yes, I agree. Especially, yeah, when you have the means and everything. I know that many schools think that they don't have the means, or where the teachers then think that they need to learn all the languages, which is not the case.
No.
And here I would like to remind you of an interview that we did. I think it was in the first year. I don't remember. Anyway, from Ellen Rose Campbell about the language-friendly school. And I advocate for languagefriendlyschool.org. So
are we seeing her again soon? I think.
I hope so. Yeah, we will. It's just now a shout out to her to have her back, right?
That's right. That's right. Ellen Rose, we're talking about you.
Yes.
I don't know if we say this here, but
ears
in
are
Japan,
ringing.
Yeah, okay, that your ears are ringing. In Japan, we say, when you sneeze, it's like, oh, somebody's talking about you.
In Italian, it's when your ears are ringing, and then there is a difference if it's the right one or the left one, and depending on which side I let you. Yes, then they are gossiping or they are saying something nice. So your right ear is ringing, so it's very nice, meant in a nice way.
Okay. Well, we just got another comment from Majon Kosio. Or Majo M. Kosio. I don't know. Hello, how are you? Hello there. How do you make your kids resist temptation of using another language? Mine is learning German. When he knows his partner understands English, he goes for the easier option. Okay. Yes. So we get this a lot. It's a language refusal. How to avoid that, or if it already happens, what to do about it. In fact, Ute and I were actually preparing a video that summarizes a few of who our past interviewees had said. So well, that'll be coming out in a while. I don't know. We're not quite sure when yet, but we're preparing that. So, but still, to answer your question today, I think there's two stages to this question. One is what to do to avoid it, and then the other is sort of what to do about it if it already happens, right? So let me attack the first part then. How to avoid your kid from trying to use other languages, and I always advocate being consistent with whichever language you're speaking with your child as much as possible. I mean, there's obviously advantages and disadvantages, give and takes, and risks. So the more you switch around between 2 or 3 languages with your child, then the more they have the option of using the different languages. And oftentimes kids will, of course, go down the path of least resistance. So that doesn't mean you cannot switch. That doesn't mean you have to be like 100% on one language. But the key is to sort of create this habit of speaking a specific language with your child so that he or she will develop a habit of using this language with you and sort of associate you with that language and associate this language. Like make it to such a point that it becomes weird to speak another language with you. Make it feel like using another language is like a special situation. Like maybe somebody else is in the discussion, therefore you're speaking another language so that to accommodate the other person. So that's sort of how I would go about it, or that's how I do go about it in our family to avoid the situation of the kid running to another language.
But I understand that this child is learning German, so maybe it's beginning to learn German. So it's maybe not that confident yet.
Yes.
And obviously then very smart and in a very economic way. In linguistics, we talk about economy of language choice, chooses the language that the other person understands, and that maybe the child, if I understand you right, that the child is most fluent in, or also more confident in speaking. So, and you ask how to make the kid resist the temptation of using the other language. It's not that much a temptation, it's a need. Because if the child wants to communicate and lacks of the words, or yes, the confidence in using that language, then sometimes it helps to give them more time. But what always helps is also time plus the knowledge of the language. Let's say a rich environment where you provide the words that the child needs in order for the next time to be able to speak or to form sentences in that given situation with the person. But you say the other partner, or the partner understands English. We cannot necessarily determine or decide what language our children are going to speak in every situation. It can be that they are tired, or that they have to have a certain pace in order to communicate with the other person. So there are many factors to consider. But I know maybe I'm a bit more laissez-faire, but I prefer listening. Okay, how is the conversation going? Sometimes it's even bilingual, so one speaks English, the other one German, and that can also work. And there I say the most important part is just having the conversation flowing and the connection, holding up the connection and not breaking it down and saying, no, but please use the other language. Then you stop the conversation and the resistance can become even bigger. But I don't know your child, I don't know you, I don't know the situation, so I'm just assuming here. So sorry if I'm
I think to add on that is, so I totally agree. You don't want to make the language part overtake the discussion itself.
Yes.
The conversation and the communication is, I guess, is king. So you don't want to sacrifice that and say, well, here you should say this, or here you should use this language, and sort of kill the flow of the conversation. Now, that said, I would find other ways at other moments to increase the relevance of the language, the target language that you're speaking with your child. Make him or her sort of appreciate the target language more and more, and then that'll I guess motivate him to use it more and more. Even though he's not very fluent in it, he'll associate something, be more confident and want to use it more with you.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Thank you for the question, or for your comments. I don't know if you have an eye on the time, Tetsu. Ooh. I know that you have to leave earlier today, so we cannot stay very long.
Well, yeah, we've our past two sessions have been all the way up to the hour, and even a little bit past the past session was 2 weeks ago. But yes, we do want to keep this succinct and try to not go too long. So we should be wrapping up. If we have one last question, perhaps. If not, thank you for joining, everybody. Thank on all the different platforms. And I do see folks from different platforms. So it's nice. We're not opening something and it's empty. We've got comments from YouTube, comments from Facebook. And we had some comments on Instagram also, although you can't see it on the other platforms. So still, thank you so much. This is still quite an experimental phase right now for us to be sharing our time like this. We're trying to figure out what fits best, what kind of topics and what kind of things that we should do. If you have comments and recommendations, do put it in and let us know. And we'll try to adapt, because this is for you, the audience. So.
Yeah, and maybe that would be an idea, Tetsu. If they see the advert coming up and with a date, and they know that they can attend, and you have a question, please leave it in the comments, and we will gather them. Maybe not last minute, because I'm not sure that I can really.
Absolutely.
I have one head.
Really?
And only
That's
two
not how it
hands.
seems to me.
Sometimes, oh my, no, I'm not so excited. No, but that might be an idea if you have any kind of questions that you would like to share with us, and we will just mention it if you are in the room, of course, if you want to share that. Then.
That's right. And one way to appreciate these recordings, I think, is to actually go through the comments before you watch, and you'll see there are questions that could be of relevance to you, and you can pick those up and go through the recordings.
Oh,
Either way, they're there. It's all out there in the internet.
Yes, there's a song Sharon, I don't know, or song Sharon. Thank you very much. You said you would have liked to join earlier and ask questions. Please join us next time.
Yes.
We're doing this every Tuesday at the same time like today, unless the third Tuesday, but the next third Tuesday in April, we will not do this because we have usually then a guest, which will be that time on a Wednesday. I'm confusing everyone. I just stop here because it's not
generally every Tuesday except the third Tuesday.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So thank you, everybody. Oh, we got one last little comment from Miley, and it's just a nice comment, and I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're all very interested in knowing your stories, successful or otherwise. If you're willing to share some stories, some difficulties that you've had, we're all there to support you.
And I think she mentions a word that I always say, define successful. We may want to define successful at some point. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone.
Definitely don't equate it to perfection. Definitely. Okay, anyways, see you guys next week, same time. It's a Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, North American Eastern, and then it's 6 p.m.
in London.
And 7 p.m.
Paris or Amsterdam. Let's say Amsterdam. I'm in the Netherlands, so let's say
okay. Hey, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. All right.
Time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Take care now.
Bye.